Hello and welcome to We Will Talk About It, the Supernatural Rewatch podcast where we watch one episode every week, spoiler free. I'm Megan.
I'm Kat.
And this week we are watching the season finale of season 1. So season 1, episode 22, Devil's Trap.
Devil's Trap indeed.
So we have just finished recording Salvation. I think I mentioned Salvation. Probably this episode is coming out maybe the same day or a couple of days after. It feels very part 1, part 2 to me.
Definitely.
And
I think that's how we're going to structure. I think we've discussed.
Yeah, for finales and stuff like that, like all big kind of co-episodes where
Yeah.
you've really got to like wrap it all up. Definitely releasing them kind of in the same week because it just kind of makes sense. Like they're a part 1 and a part 2.
Yep. Especially
in a lot
this
of cases.
season finale.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to just dive straight in. But before we do, written by Eric Kripke, of course, it's the season finale. He's back, our boy, your bestie.
My
and then
bestie.
our other boy is back, Kim Manners, directing this episode.
I didn't see that. I was just like, hey, and also Phil.
Sagrisha?
Thank you. I was like, Phil.
Yeah, so he's one of the executive producers
Yes.
on this season and I think was the executive producer up until season 14
Whoa.
and then he left to do The Boys.
Oh.
So he's actually directed and written a couple of episodes on The Boys as well. So Phil Sagrisha, he really went the distance in terms of
Now I'm
Supernatural.
just thinking of the Hercules song.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I can go the distance.
Yeah.
That's where I went. My brain is like, what? Yeah, no, I mean, correct. Phil also did go the distance.
So this episode picks up directly after the end of Salvation. We see it from Meg's perspective of calling Dean to say she has their father. And we can sort of see John in the background of this shot
Yep.
because it's obviously John's phone that she's answering and she's kind of taunting Dean that John is beyond help, that she's already killed him or like he'll be dead shortly, you know.
Yep.
Lots of that sort of
You
stuff.
know, again, being her most demon self.
Dean and Sam have this really interesting conversation where Sam is hellbent. He's like, we need to get the cult and we need to go find this demon and kill it. And Dean is like, no, we need to go find Dad and save Dad.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting. It's kind of like their roles are reversing where Sam is like, no, we stick to the plan. We do what Dad would want. Dad would want us to go hunt this demon. He wouldn't want us to go after him. Like, we need to like fulfill his dream.
Yeah.
And Dean is the one being like, screw Dad's dream. Like, very interesting switch.
Flip, especially for the whole season.
Yes.
Also, I'm going to refer to the demon that we saw in Salvation that was going to take baby Rosie as Yellow Eyes because it's the big reveal is Yellow Eyes. It makes it a lot easier and again it will help in future seasons if we can, because there's a lot of demons coming up.
Yes, so we'll call it the yellow-eyed demon from now on,
Yeah.
Which is kind of what it gets colloquially called anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, if you've been lucky and you've been living under a rock and you haven't had that plot twist, cool.
Yes.
Yellow Eyes Demon.
Yeah, so the yellow-eyed demon. So they are trying to figure out what to do and, you know, Sam and Dean are kind of arguing a little bit and Sam's like, you know, we're all on our own and Dean's like, we need help. So throughout the seasons, we're obviously going to have characters that are recurring characters and as much as we can, we're going to try not to give away that this is not the last time we run into this character.
Yep.
There's going to be a couple of instances. One definitely in season 4 is going to happen where you're going to know straight away that this character is going to stick around.
Yep.
But this is another time where I don't think we can talk about Bobby without getting excited to talk about Bobby and making it very obvious that he comes back and this is not the only appearance of Bobby, whose full name is Robert Singer.
Yeah. Yes, you heard right. Robert Singer.
Yes. So obviously the director of Supernatural, originally his name was going to be Robert Kripke. So obviously Robert Singer and Eric Kripke for legal reasons that I don't understand. Like it's one of those phrases that they say where they're like, oh, we wanted to call the character this, but we couldn't for legal reasons. So you just like turn it over in your brain. You're like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah. What's it all mean, Basil?
What does it all mean? They couldn't call him Robert Kripke for reasons.
Maybe
so they just called it Robert Singer, Bobby Singer. And so this is
Bobby.
I think you said this, I say this too. Every time I rewatch season 1, I'm always reminded that Bobby is in season 1 because I'm always surprised to see him and I'm always very, very happy that he's there.
A very young Bobby too.
A very young Jim Beaver who plays Bobby.
Yep.
And I will say, they really quickly set Bobby up. Like they do a lot of really quick business of setting Bobby up.
Very visual business as well.
Very visual business. He's like, he's in this car yard, this like wrecker's yard, I guess you might say. You know, it's very kind of down, sort of rural feeling, and not downtrodden, but like, you know, not at its prime.
Yep.
Bobby is filling up holy water, and then he gives one to Dean, and he's like, they're both holy water. He's like, no, this is whiskey, and he takes a swig, and he gives one to give it
like
to
a
Dean
flask,
to give us a flask to give a swig as well. So it just, you know, and then Sam is there, and he's got this book over, and he's like, wow, Bobby, this book is amazing. Like, this is so much information. He's got piles of books around, and so you're learning really quickly, really visually who Bobby is, you know, like
he's got a cap on, he's got a great mustache, and yeah, you're right. There's a lot of you wouldn't say his house is run down, but you definitely are. It is a house that has not seen a dusting.
Yeah,
it's not Kat's house, let's just say for that, but it's a house that is not cluttered, and it's on purpose, and it's, you feel like if you walked into that house, you'd be going, this guy knows what is up.
Yeah, he's like got all these books like on law, and you know, but he's also very kind of down to earth. You know, he has a flask of holy water and a flask of whiskey.
Yeah.
Dean saying he's surprised he wanted to help John, because last time he saw John, he chased him off with a shotgun, which we don't hear about why.
Yeah.
We'll get there eventually, guys.
Yeah.
Not in this episode, but in the podcast.
Later down the track.
And so we learn so much really quickly. And this, I mean, we saw this in the pilot with how quickly all that, the exposition stairs, if you recall, all the way back.
Yep.
All the way back to like, Kripke is so good at this, so good at like exposition dump, but in a way that doesn't feel like an exposition dump, where you know who Bobby is.
You wouldn't even give it, say, 2 minutes. This whole like exposition would not have happened in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's so quick, and then you automatically as a viewer get the sense that Bobby's been this character, he's been in this whole show the whole time.
Yep.
And it's when the boys have got stuck, who they've called Bobby.
Yeah.
You have this, even though you don't see it, because of how it's written and the scene and directed and visually and everything that's happening.
Yes. They're very familiar with who Bobby is. They're very comfortable with him. Like
it's almost like a good uncle. Like very, he's family. Like he is family, but you know that they've established relationships.
Yes, absolutely. And they're talking about this Key of Solomon, which traps demons. And Sam's really surprised to kind of learn about this and kind of find out about this. And just at that time, Meg shows up, kicks in the door. She attacks the boys, asking for the cult.
She's throwing Dean into the big pile of books.
Yeah, she's throwing, you know, we're getting a bit more of a sense of what demon powers are. Like, she's using her mind to throw Dean around, and like all of this
like
kind
a ragdoll, might I point out.
Yeah.
And he hits those books like a ragdoll.
And she's, you know, and they're sort of, Sam and Bobby are kind of backing into the room, and Sam's kind of shielding Bobby, which I think is an interesting choice, to kind of pretend that Bobby's this sort of frail old man. I mean, he's not that old there or now. But like, you know, interesting,
protective kind of. Like he's my father. Back the fuck up. Like he means something to me. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of interesting, because obviously that's not necessarily true for who Bobby is.
No. Bobby can handle himself.
And Dean appears behind. He's sort of recovered from being flung into some books.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we were expecting you to show up. And he looks up, and the Key of Solomon, which is the Devil's Trap, is on the roof, and Meg is now trapped.
Yep. So I also like the fact, because Dean is so, he's a man about town. He's about getting shit done. He is on purpose. And as we've seen, when Dean has, you know, a bee in his bonnet or he has something to do, he's quite sharp. He's like, I'm not here to fuck spiders. Yep, I knew you were going to do this. I knew you were going to find us. You want something from us, which is the cult.
Yep.
We have the cult. We fucking knew you were going to do this, because plot twist.
Yeah. So I think that's,
I enjoy it. I enjoy the urgency and the like. I also, Meg, don't have time to fuck around.
Yes. They're sort of got Meg trapped, and they're trying to decide what to do. And, you know, Dean sort of beats her around a little bit, trying to kind of get information out of her. Which is kind of dark, and she obviously is like, it's kind of a turn on you hitting a girl. And I was like,
oh God, Meg, again, siren.
Meg, I love you. And I think that Eric has taken the fleshing. He's taken the note from Sarah in terms of the writing. So I really appreciate that.
This episode could have been bad. Like, it could have gone the other way, where he's like, oh no, I'm going to take and put it back to Meg how it was when we first met her. And it would not have been It would have been garbage, let's be real. It would have been like, oh, this
Well,
is...
not necessarily garbage, but I just kind of appreciate that he's taken this role and he's allowed it to continue to develop. Because
he's pushed it with his... I feel like Sarah may have given him some... It's like, okay, so we've left her here.
Yeah.
Let's stay on the same train.
Yeah, which is in essence what happens in a writer's room. So yes, she probably would have done exactly that, and they probably would have worked together. So so I kind of really appreciate that they're kind of continuing to let her character develop.
Yeah, vixenary, even though she's getting beaten in the face.
Yeah, so she says, it's kind of a turn on you hitting a girl, and he's like, "You're no girl," and then Bobby pulls her, and he's like, "But she is a girl.
Yeah,
this is a person that is possessed by a demon.
Can't you tell?"
And again, we're setting up who Bobby is. And we're setting up a lot of demon lore. Demons get trapped in devil's traps, which is what the Key of Solomon is. That demons possess human beings. And then that means there's a human inside this person that you're killing, which is all really important lore for the remaining 15 seasons in terms of character. And so they were like, well, that actually kind of works in our favor because they now decide to exorcise her, which we obviously learned about back in Phantom Traveler. So they're tying a lot of stuff together.
Yeah, they're putting extra ribbons on some boxes. Mm-hmm. And what we also learn is Bobby's like, if you continue to punch her, you're hurting. Like it's a meat suit. A demon needs a meat suit, which is what unfortunately demons do call us. It's not a plot twist. They would call us meat suits. And if you
the writers do.
Well, the writers
demons aren't real.
Demons, hey, in this universe. And Bobby has made it clear that if you continue to wail on her, it might make you feel good, but you're still hurting someone. So knock it off.
And so they start to exercise her, and there's just lots of great visuals, lots of like books start flying around, and like she's getting like pulled around inside of the devil's trap, like really, really cool stuff and really, really well filmed,
and not shitty CGI.
Yes,
I appreciate.
But and it's very Exorcist as well in terms of it. Like it's clearly like a visual effect. Like, it's clearly not a special effect.
And I mean, Dean does reference The Exorcist.
Yes, he does.
He does reference The Exorcist, which I was like. And when you say I'm going to perform an exorcism, everyone definitely goes to at one point one of the many exorcism movies.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. In this case, obviously specifically referencing the original Exorcist from the 70s.
Because he says vomit and all.
Yeah, head spinning, vomiting, pea soup, the whole nine yards. So Meg is saying that she killed John. Like John's dead. She's really sticking with this story, and he begged for his life.
Yep.
All this really dark stuff. Sam is clearly a little reluctant with how kind of black and white Dean becomes in this situation. Meg is someone he needs to interrogate. Put a pin in Dean's black and white interrogation thought process. Put a pin in that. We'll come back to that.
Yeah. And again, I've lost my train of thought, but what I was going to say is that, it's interesting that, he's not more malleable about why he's not doing the interrogating, because this is the first time we're really seeing him hot-headed, because essentially he's hot-headed.
Well, he's not though. That's the kind of interesting twist. He's not hot-headed. He's cold. He's calculating.
True.
He's like, keep doing the ritual, like keep going, and Sam's kind of reluctant because he can sort of see the pain that this demon is in, but it's a girl, like he's not sure how to do, and so Dean's not really hot-headed about it. He's very focused about it.
Yeah, true. Actually, yes. Sorry. Now that we've spoken it out,
yeah. Like hot-headed Dean, we've sort of seen, but this is something else. Yeah, this is a very cold-blooded, intentional Dean, and like I said, put a pin in that. Put a pin in that for a couple of seasons. Put that on a slow boil. We'll get back to that eventually. Eventually Meg caves and she says she doesn't know specifically where John is. She just knows he is in Jefferson City and he's by the water. She doesn't know anything else. And Dean says, thank you. Okay, Sam, complete the ritual. And Sam kind of balks a little and Dean's like, complete the ritual. And she's like, you promised. And he's like, I lied.
Yeah.
And again, black and white Dean. Yep. This is not hot-headed Dean. This is cold-hearted Dean.
Yeah,
he needs the information and he doesn't care, and it's a demon. So, of course, they're going to get it out. And at some point in all amongst this, Bobby has reminded them or told them that, remember, this girl fell out of a 7th-floor window, like story. house.
Not a
7-foot window.
Yeah, not a 7-foot window that is Jared Padalecki. Just
But a 7-story building. Like, the thing that's keeping her alive now is the demon.
Yeah.
And so if you take the demon out, she will die.
Yeah.
And Dean's like, well, we'll be putting her out of her misery, which is interesting because we don't know at this point whether that's true or not.
No, we don't know if, as the meat suit, the person we'll call, Good Meg is riding shotgun with the demon, or has been, I know her soul has been killed and she's, off in heaven, or she's down hell, or she's like not in the suit like anymore. Like, we don't know if she's still in there.
We do know that she's still in there because that's the law that they're setting up, is that she's possessed.
Yeah.
But we don't know if she is in pain.
Yeah.
At the moment or not, like what her experience is. But for Dean, and whether that will be better or worse than dying.
Yeah.
But Dean is like, no, he gets very black and white in this situation, which is, again, very interesting. So Sam completes the ritual, the demon leaves, and this girl, Good Meg, starts to bleed immediately. Like, she's bleeding from the mouth. She's clearly in a lot of pain, internal injuries.
Yep.
And before she dies, she says that she was awake for some of it, and it was, horrific and horrifying for her to have her body used in this way, and she sort of thanks them for freeing her. And just before she dies, she says sunrise, which is clearly a clue about where
John is being
where
held.
John is, but obviously is fairly non-contextual.
Yeah, it's just like sunrise. It's like what?
So they go to Jefferson City. They go to see if they can find John. And again, we're having these conversations where Sam is like, we need to find the demon, we need to kill it, we need to follow through on Dad's wishes.
Yeah, that's what
And Dean is like, no, our family, keeping our family together and alive is what's most important. And again, it's that flip.
Yep.
That Sam now wants what Dad wants and Dean doesn't care.
Yep.
When faced with losing people he loves, Dean doesn't care.
Yep.
And so they get to Jefferson City and they're walking along the river and they see an apartment block that's called Sunrise Apartments. And obviously there's lots of kids playing outside. There's people coming and going and they're like, oh, it's the perfect hiding place because it could be anyone. They know exactly what we look like. We have no clue what they look like.
Yep.
And it's a whole apartment building. So
It's
perfect.
it's not a 2-story building. It's like several floors.
Yeah, like a proper apartment block. I did appreciate when they're kind of hiding in the bushes and like scoping it out. It is one of those situations where like Jensen looks short because Jared's so tall and you have to remind yourself that they're both unnaturally tall. Not unnaturally tall. Jared's
I was going to say,
tall.
did you get about a 7-foot window?
Jensen's slightly taller than an average man.
Yes.
But yeah, it is one of those like confusing moments. Like a couple of times, we'll get to the episode where I eventually was like, I need to Google how tall everyone is. But like you do forget because they're quite tall. They're both quite tall. And so you do forget that they're a little bit unnaturally tall. And Jensen's actually a tall man.
Yes, he is a tall man amongst regular humans.
Yes.
I also enjoy, I love how you went there. My brain, because they're obviously in the bushes watching the children and mothers and prams, that sounded really creepy. But anyway, I love that the bushes aren't really that thick, so you can obviously see them and you can see behind them. But also, imagine yourself, you're walking, like you're going for a run, you're going for a jog or whatever, and you're walking past and you just see these two overly large, over average sized men just in a spindly bush, just hunched over, talking about they could be anyone. They know what they know what we look like, and we don't know what they look like, and you're just walking past going, the fuck? It would be the weirdest thing.
It would be so
It would be the weirdest thing to see because they're obviously quite close enough to the apartments to see them, but also if you're in front of them or even if you're running behind them, because they it would look so out of place.
Yes, it would be very, very confusing.
It would be very confusing to see and be like, two men, very large, what's going on?
Yeah. So they try and come up with a plan, and the plan is they're like, we could pull the fire alarm and get everybody out, and then the only people who should be left would be John and whoever has John.
Yep, and also the fire brigade.
Well, I actually really I love it when they fill a plot hole and they don't just leave it and they're like, well, that will cause the fire brigade to come, which is 100% true. And they're like, so that we've got 7 minutes and we need to figure out what we can do to get inside. And I do appreciate when they take the time just a second to think it through enough to fill a plot hole. I really like that. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Eric. And so they know it takes 7 minutes, typically speaking, for them to come.
Yep.
So their plan basically is to steal some fireman costumes.
Yep.
So that they blend in as a disguise, which, great idea.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like, again, as you said, they've given it wasn't even 10 seconds. They've given 10 seconds that literally sets up the next, part of the show.
Absolutely. And we also find out that Dean wanted to be a fireman when he grew up. Yeah, I know.
All right.
Unnecessary, sir.
I was like...
So they go inside. They're obviously searching through, and they have their EMF detector out.
Not the lasered one.
Not the really cool laser one. Unfortunately, I don't know that we ever see that again.
I think it was like a one-time show. And
a one-time budget expense, and they were like, we can't afford to have lasers on this show ever again.
I mean, maybe in later seasons, but
right now, please. Once again, we've spent all of our budget on bees.
All on bees and some really dodgy CGI swarms.
Yes. And so they have the EMF detector out. It obviously goes off when they see the demons, who are just kind of sitting stoically at a table.
Just like...
But I think it's, it's meant to be that they're not like...
They're minions.
Watching TV.
Yeah, no. They're just two bodies being possessed, demon style.
Guarding John.
Guarding John at a round table.
Yes. So they break in, they defeat the demons, they put them in a closet and put salt around the door. So once again, we're learning a little bit more. We've heard about salt, rock salt defeating ghosts and stuff, but now we sort of see that a salt ring or putting salt in front of a door or a window protects against demons. Demons can't cross that line. No,
because I think it's meant to be as purity.
Yeah.
Purity thing.
Yes. And they go into the bedroom, and John's there, and he's all tied down, looking pretty beat up. And really Dean starts to cut him loose, and Sam's like, wait, what if he's possessed? Like, what if there's a demon in him?
This is me.
Which, I mean, is also fair enough. And so they splash holy water on him. Nothing happens. And so they're like, great.
Water on me. I love that. Yeah. That's what wakes him up. It's like, why did you throw water on me, Sam? And the delivery, it's like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. You're not a demon. I enjoy this. Thank God.
Exactly. So they get out. They escape. They go to this really secluded cabin that they find. Sorry, I missed a little bit.
I was just like, hang on, did we miss our friend Tom the Demon?
Tom the Demon comes back.
Tom the Demon is like, plot twist, whoever thought Tom the Demon was going to come back.
So two demons take over the body of a fireman and just someone who's like watching the scene. And they come and attack the boys, but they escape down the fire escape, and they're obviously leaving salt behind to protect themselves. But when they get down the bottom, Tom the Demon arrives and is fighting with Jared and fighting with Jensen. Obviously, John is so is Dean and Sam. He's fighting with Dean, he's fighting with Sam, and he's really wailing on Sam.
Sam's getting a real good he's getting a new face.
Yeah.
And not the nice way. But I do, what I really enjoyed is when Dean is, because you can tell that Dean's just fucking, he has had it officially.
Yeah.
And I just love that he just boot kicks Tom in the face. And I'm like,
Tom the Demon,
boot kick. And I'm like, well, that's right.
Yes.
And so this is all happening. John is weak and is against the wall. He's not engaging because he's been beaten up himself, so he's out of the fight.
Yeah, exactly. And so although Sam had made Dean promise not to bring the cult with them because that's the thing that everyone's searching for, he did bring it, and he shoots Tom the Demon and kills him.
Because again, he has had it officially.
Yeah.
Dean's like, I could sit there and like boot kick you for like a day, but I've got shit to do.
Yes.
But dank. And he wastes a bullet.
Yes.
On Tom the Demon.
Who admittedly is killing Sam. And like you said, Dean is over it officially. He's like, I'm sick of trying to keep my family alive and like get through this. I'm done.
Yeah. He's just like, you know what? Fuck it. Bullet's a bullet.
Yeah. And so he wastes a bullet, wastes one of the precious Colt bullets, and
on
Tom the Demon.
But also, we didn't know his name was Tom because obviously someone has read notes. And I love that.
So they go to this secluded cabin. John's recovering. Sam and Dean are kind of debriefing, and we get this really interesting moment where Dean's sort of sitting there, and he's like, "Well, I shot that demon. That demon was also a person, and." In the moment, in that time of saving you, I didn't care. I didn't care that it was a person. I didn't care that it was a demon. All like the lengths that I'll go to save you, it scares me sometimes.
Yeah, there's no bounds.
And this is where Eric Kripke is the showrunner of this show, because a lot of shows that are in this kind of genre, they don't really grapple a lot with these kinds of things, that like you're this human and you're kind of this human superhero in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you're the anti-hero.
Because you're like a hunter, and so therefore you kill things, but this is the first time, at least that we're aware of, that like a human life has been taken by one of the boys.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the difference that Eric brings, where he's thinking about this stuff and he's thinking about these consequences.
Yep, because they're going to face them again.
Yeah, and I think that there's no need for the show to do that. Like, tons of shows in this category never grapple with that kind of stuff, and they do fine because it's a escapism show. It's, you know, drama, and it's really high stakes, and it's like, you know, something dramatic happens every week. And so I do appreciate this little beat of adding this extra layer.
Yeah, a layer that didn't need to be there, but it worked. But again, full circle moment, it's this is why the show has run for 15 seasons, because it tackles things, not always greatly, but it tackles things in a way that is, you go, hang on, this is not just a, like you said, it's not just a, oh, it's just, you know, it's Hunter Academy and stuff.
Or even, you know, even just like a kind of violent sort of fantasy sci-fi show.
Yeah,
you know?
It's really making you think about like a moral, like what would you do if you were close with your, you know, like your sister or your brother, like you would do anything for them. What does that look like? And
how does that play out in a fantastical world like this?
Exactly. Because essentially Dean did do that. He's like, I will do anything because I love you, and I will do no matter the cost or the consequences. And you're like, shit, yeah, he did kill Tom the demon, but he also killed Tom the human
person who may or may not have been called Tom.
Maybe Tim.
Who knows? R.I.P. Mystery Man. But yeah, I appreciated that moment. I appreciated that didn't need to exist. It didn't need to be in the show for this show to be a valid, fun, campy, dramatic, high stakes, supernatural show.
Well, yeah.
But it is, and again, that's what makes Supernatural better than it has any right to be, which is not meant to be a negative statement.
No,
when I say that, it's meant to be like,
it's complex.
There's
it
a
has
reason
flavors.
we are one of, I don't even know how many podcasts that talk about this show.
Insane.
So
yeah, no, don't know. But yeah, and it's a small flavor. It's a small bit of a, it's a, like you said, it's a beat.
Yeah.
But it makes it, as a viewer, you're like, shit, what would I do?
Yeah. And so I just really appreciate that, and I appreciate adding that extra length and extra depth to the character of Dean. And obviously we've talked about this quite a few times now, like Jensen really brings that forward, and he really he clearly empathizes really with Dean, and you're really starting to see him really come into this character compared to a lot of the early episodes where you still can see them kind of figuring out. He's like, he's really getting a sense of who Dean is.
The marinade is definitely cooking.
Exactly. You and food analogies today.
I know. I'm a bit hungry.
Do you need a snack? So John wakes up and he comes out, and they kind of like recap, and John is saying, you know, because Dean and Sam had kind of this conversation where like Dean wasted a bullet essentially on Tom the demon, and sort of how that's going to play out. And when they tell John is happy, and he's like, thank you, so like you did what you had to do in the moment. And then we sort of start seeing lights flickering, and something's coming, and they've got salt around all the windows, and John's like, oh, go check all the windows, Sam, make sure it's done. And she's like, Dean, give me the Colt.
I do love all this though. I love that when, you know, Dad's finally given praise to Dean, and you kind of like, interesting, but it seems a little bit too kumbaya. Let's sing around like the campfire with some strong, you know, 70s kumbaya. You know, it just seems.
I mean, yes. Look, let's get there, and we will talk about it.
Megan's gonna get us there. I'm just saying, like when I watched it, because again, I didn't forget about this episode, but I forgot this. Obviously, the scene. I was like, hang on, Dad would have been real pissed.
So John is asking Dean to give him the Colt. Dean gets squirrely because John complimented him. John said, no, I'm proud of you for using this bullet. I'm proud of you for doing the right thing in the moment. Yeah. And so
putting family first.
Dean raises the Colt to John, and he's like, you
clicks the gun thingy. Cocks the, because he like cocks the gun.
I think you need to stop saying that.
Yeah.
But yes.
yes, I do. But he does the gum thing and is pointing the Colt. He does the
yes.
He does the gum
And
thing.
the reason he became suspicious was because that John was too nice to him.
Yeah.
Because John forgave him, because John didn't get mad about the bullet. So let's take a moment to unpack that.
Excuse me, I need to go call my therapist. I need to call my Spanish therapist on that one because she would be like, excuse me while I go and get my retirement, like I go get my big removal truck for all the money you're about to pay me for that sentence.
for the baggage.
For that baggage, and also the money you're going to have to pay to also take the baggage with you. That kind of made me go, I literally was like, oh.
Yeah.
That's a good line. I mean, whoever wrote that,
It was Eric Kripke.
Yeah, Eric, my man. Some of us who have gone through something, I feel seen, I feel heard, I'd like a refund.
Yeah.
That is all I'll say, because holy shit.
Yeah. And I think that this is something that, again, we've sort of talked about this, and again, to be very, I can definitely see how a lot of people see John in other people.
Oh, yeah.
In their own experiences, and see it in a way that is upsetting. And I'm definitely never trying to disregard people who see this and see their own reality. But I do appreciate that this reflects a reality that actually exists.
Yeah, it's not, again, as we've always said, it's not Hunter Academy.
Yeah, it's not that they had this like
perfect
fun childhood of like
it wasn't
hunting bad things and like killing streakers. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't Scooby-Doo, and this is the reality of what trauma does, and it doesn't make it okay.
No.
But I appreciate that Eric has followed, the writers have followed this thread through.
So it makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah. And I think that is something to be respected, particularly in this time in 2005, 2006, where it's like,
oh, it's horrible. It broke my heart a bit. I'm like, oh,
yeah. Dean.
I was just like, well, excuse me, I'm going to go call my therapist for what I've just experienced. Like, that's how Dean knows. And it breaks my heart a
So it's
bit.
revealed that John is possessed by the yellow-eyed demon.
Yep.
And
Sam does not know what's going on.
Yes. And so Sam obviously finds out pretty quick, and this kind of battle ensues.
I do love, really quickly, I do love that, you know, Dean's got the gun real close to John's face, and he's just like, you're not my dad, you're not who you are, who the hell are you? Sam's walked into this, I mean, anyone who would walk in and just be like, what the fuck just happened? I left the room for 2 seconds. I love that this moment, again, even though Sam's had, you know, he's had some breakthrough moments with his dad in the last couple episodes, he's still sticking by Dean. He's like, no, I'm going to side with Dean, because Dean has always sided with me when it mattered most. And Dean wouldn't just make this up.
Yep.
And I love that he's like, no, I'm going to stand with Dean. And he makes it very clear, and he still makes eye contact with John, like, don't know what's going on, but I'm siding with my brother here. And I love that, because Dean really needed someone to stick with him at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And so this kind of battle starts. Sam gets thrown against the wall. Dean gets thrown against the wall. Yeah. And the yellow-eyed demon actually kind of jokes. He puts the Colt down, and he's like, you know, Sam, use your powers to like come and get me. And that's interesting that he knows about this. He's interested. He knows exactly what Sam's power is.
Yeah. Also, what a dick move. I was just it's such a. I mean, again, demons are not friends. So I mean, it makes sense that he's a dick. But yeah, it was just like, I'm just going to leave the gun here. Sam, powers, come on. You know, I know you've got something. And the way he's just holding them both. Like, it's not even a flex. He's not even flexing.
Yeah.
It's like,
no. And it's this horrible scene where he reveals that Meg was his daughter and Tom the demon was his son.
The demon was his son.
And
his boy.
His boy.
And I was just like,
and he's like, well, you know, how would you feel if I took your family from you? And he's like, oops, I already did, because obviously he killed Mary.
Yeah.
And so and then he starts to kill Dean, and he's like, your dad's he's in here, he knows what's happening, like he's gonna taste your blood.
Yeah,
he's gonna taste your iron. And it
I think he says, I'm gonna taste. He's gonna taste your iron.
The iron in your blood.
And I was like, that's.
And so Sam's watching helpless, you know, wishing that his powers would work, watching Dean die, and it's very visceral and it's very realistic. Like, I've seen this episode so many times, and I'm still like, oh no.
It's the blood. And also, again, props to the acting of all three of them because essentially...
Oh, the flip of Jeffrey Dean Morgan of going from playing John to playing this demon character, which is fairly unformed. We really haven't heard the demon speak.
Yeah,
so he's really setting the bar of what this demon is like.
Yeah, exactly. And we've only seen... we didn't even know the demon could talk because we've only seen him in shadow form. And yeah, it's just the way that Jeffrey does flip it and you're just like, oh, but also it gives you hints and notes of that John personality as well. And you kind of like, oh, there's some darkness. Oh, John, you have some dark. Like it just confirms that there is some darkness in John's character, which plot twist, duh.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I also enjoy the acting from both Jared and Jensen as well because Jensen is essentially like a ragdoll being squeezed like an orange for juice, and Sam is obviously being pressed up. He feels like something's pressing on him, not even killing him, just like holding him, and they're using their body. They're not just grunting. They're not. It's a lot. It's visually, audibly, everything. It's sensory working.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't love the scene, but I love how they've set the scene up to make you feel like
it's a great scene that because it's so upsetting.
Yes.
And it could very easily not feel upsetting.
No.
And eventually, just for a second, John comes out.
Yeah, he forces his way out.
He forces his way forward.
Yep.
And in that moment, Sam is able to get free, just as Dean's like begging his dad to not kill him, essentially. Which,
and just the begging.
Jensen!
There was tears. And I was like, because he's, blood dripping from every orifice, and he's just like, Dad, listen, don't kill me.
So vulnerable.
The begging. It was almost like a child going, I'm hurt, Daddy. I want to cuddle Dad. And I'm just like, I can't deal with this emotions.
Yeah. How very dare you, Jensen?
Yeah, how dare you be a great actress? I mean, sorry, actress. Great
Jensen,
actor.
how dare you be a great actress?
And he'd be like, mad props, because he is a cool motherfucker. But no, actor. Thank you for being how dare you be a great actor, not actress.
So Sam gets loose, he grabs the Colt, and, the demon's like, well, if you kill me, you kill your dad. And he's like, I know. And so he shoots them in the leg. Yeah.
You do see, I do love the quick fleck of CGI of you can see the skull, or you can see a skeleton and a blue bolt.
Yeah.
Which I realized the blue bolt reminds me of when we see in the cold openings where Supernatural, the blue, it kind of looks like that. And I'm not too sure if it's a on purpose thing, but I feel like it.
I don't know that it is. I don't have any evidence either way.
Okay, cool.
So you may tell that story to yourself if you wish.
I have.
And so he shoots John in the leg. That obviously sort of sets Dean free. He runs over to Dean. Dean's like, is Dad okay? Is Dad okay? And he's like, yes, you've lost a lot of blood. Sam's having a panic moment where he's like, this is a lot of blood and we're in a very rural area and what are we going to do?
This is Kat's existence. I'll be like, oh my God, there is so much happening. I don't know how to, just everyone shut the fuck up and just do the things.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And John wakes up. He's like, the demon's still in me. I can feel it. I can only hold it for a little time. Shoot me. Kill me now.
Shoot me in the heart, I believe, the words. And I'm almost like, oh, Jesus Christ.
And Sam says no. And the demon escapes. And so Sam is trying to get everyone to the car. He's trying to get John to the car and Dean to the car, obviously, to get to the hospital.
Yep.
And John says he's very surprised that he didn't take the chance to kill the demon after all this time. And particularly after the last couple of episodes where Sam has been very single purpose. And sort of Sam is like, well, he sort of had this realization that Dean was right, that there are things that are not worth killing your father over.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that we've drawn a line in the sand somewhere.
Yeah, and and that's kind of, again, coming full circle, really tying all these pieces together. They're in the car, they're driving. Sam's like, we've got one bullet, we've got one chance. There's Dean, 15 minutes to hospital, don't worry, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, Dean's slumped in the back. They're in the Impala, so he's managed to get everyone into the Impala, and he's helter-skelter, going down, fanging down. In Australia, what we call fanging down the highway means we're going very fast to get to the destination.
Yes, also, because Kat said it a couple of times this episode and last episode, and we don't actually fuck spiders in Australia.
Oh, yes, no, we don't. It's just
an expression.
It's just basically say we're not here to deal with anyone's bullshit.
Yeah.
We want
you can Urban Dictionary what we're not here to fuck spiders means.
That's great.
I just wanted to clarify for any concerned Americans.
Look, who are I know that there has been rumors that we have drop bears and that we like to take kangaroos to places. Those two things are not things. I know. Ruining the fairy tale.
But then last minute. I mean, this is where I wish that we had in the streaming service they had the original song because it's Bad Moon Rising.
Yep. And that's the one that was like, there's a song and I'm like, this is not the right song. And my partner who was watching the episode is like, he's like, I swear there was like a really rocky song that matched this. And he's like, it wasn't like death metal-y or really heavy rock, but it just almost like comical, like a comical rock. Like when you really think, like, I always think a bit of jovial with like Bad Moon Rising.
Yeah, so Bad Moon Rising is playing in the car in the sort of original version or the aired version, which is what you'll get on YouTube if you buy the series or the DVDs. Who cares what was playing in the Netflix version, because I don't think it has the same impact.
No, it doesn't.
But just as we think that, you know, our three heroes are getting away, they get slammed into by a semi-trailer.
Big old truck.
That is being driven by a demon.
Yep. And
we can still hear the plaintive tune of Bad Moon Rising playing, and that is the end of the season.
Yep, that's the end, baby.
Like, what a great scene. But this was also the time of insane season finales. Like, Grey's Anatomy had just started. Desperate Housewives had just started. I think maybe Lost had just started. And all of... This was kind of... They knew something was coming in terms of streaming. They didn't come for a couple more years. And so they were really starting to get, like, how can we keep people watching in the real world on television, like on the networks. And so big, dramatic season finales. Cliffhangers were like... This was the peak time of these insane cliffhangers, really.
And all we know is that they're all there. They're all covered in blood. You do see the confirmation of the truck driver who has got black eyes, which we know is a demon.
Yes.
And that's it. And when I remember this scene coming, and I remember this cliffhanger, but I remember it in the daytime.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was in the daytime. That for whatever reason, like obviously... Everything that's happened at the cabin happened overnight, and there was a long time. And and Sam was driving in early morning sunrise.
Okay,
hence the Bad Moon Rising. And I mean,
Bad Moon Rising for me is a song that I'm mildly traumatized by because I played it in band in year 8. And for anyone who was ever in band and ever did music, some songs are intolerable to you now because you had to play them so very many times.
Yep.
The Shoop Shoop song by Cher is another one that I cannot stand now.
No, mine is Pachelbel, which is the wedding song, which is not the dan 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 dan. It's the other one that's very. Yeah. I used to play that on piano and clarinet, and I can tell you right now, when I hear it, at weddings, I'm just like, I seize up. And I've been to a few weddings and everyone's like, this is such a beautiful song. I'm like, it fucking sucks. So
Bad Moon Rising is definitely one of those where I'm a little traumatized by it. But I do think it was a perfect song for this scene. And it does make me really sad that they couldn't keep it because it's clearly very carefully chosen and clearly really thought about. Yeah. And that's where that's where we leave our boys.
Yeah, that's where we leave it. And it's a very big opening. And back when this
finale, it's a very big opening to the finale.
It's a time when between seasons, it was like nearly a year. Yeah, it was a long time, especially
particularly in Australia. Like I think it's only about 6 months in America.
We'd only get 8. Like back then, it would have been 8 to 9 months, if not longer.
So this is where we leave you guys for a couple of weeks. We will be back at the end of October, probably around Halloween.
Halloween, this is Halloween.
So for us, we're recording this at the start of September, but the episode itself won't come out for a few weeks. And we'll be back with season 2, which I'm very, very excited to talk about. And then we'll be taking a bit of a hiatus after season 2 because I will have a baby.
You should have a baby. If you didn't listen to not last week, but like 2 weeks ago's episode, Meghann did her own reveal. Yes. And the reveal was that she is with child.
Yes. So we'll be taking a little bit of a break after season 2 for a little bit longer, probably about 6 months.
Yep.
While I figure all of that out. And then we'll be back because,
I will be around just... Kicking around
just in the real world, in our real friendship.
Yeah, and seeing Meghann and her little baby, and then when we come back, we'll work out logistics.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
It's fine. It's baby. It's fine.
So I guess I just want to say thank you to everyone who listened, people who reached out to us.
I still can't believe we just finished.
I know.
I'm just like, wait. I'm like, I'll see you next weekend to do another. No, I won't.
No.
No, I won't.
We'll probably go out and do something to sort of celebrate our season finale.
Which is kind of funny because we always said at the end of each season, we'll go and we'll go to a bar, generally a gin bar because we're both gin drinkers, and have a cocktail that represents that season.
Yes.
We can't do that.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I can.
She can, I can't.
Yes, but I'm also, solidarity with my gal.
Yes.
And the little traveller that she has with her.
Yes.
So,
alcohol-free traveller.
Huh?
Alcohol-free traveller.
Yeah, the very alcohol-free traveller, which is also a minor, so it makes sense.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll go do something fun.
Yes. Yeah, so thank you so much to everyone who's listened. Thank you to the people who followed us on Twitter, to I don't know. This has been really, really fun. It was really, really fun even when I felt like I was dying and I was sort of pretending like I wasn't dying.
Yeah, that was really hard.
So yes, but thank you so much to everyone who's listened. Thanks to all of our friends. Thanks to people who left reviews. We really, really appreciate it. We would be doing this if nobody listened, but it makes it even more special to have.
Our heart grew 3 times that day.
It did. It's been so much fun.
It really has.
And although we need to take breaks, and I think it's a very good idea to take breaks between seasons, I'm already excited about season 2.
Oh yeah.
So I'll be so excited to come back.
Yes, you're gonna be so excited. And just to let everyone know that Instagram will have maybe not a different feel, but it'll be different because I'll be to help with the pending traveler that will be coming into the world. I will be taking on Instagram, not Twitter. No, not Twitter. That's not a place where I need to.
No, Kat doesn't need to go on Twitter. Kat will be taking over the Instagram, and so hopefully you'll see a little bit more content on there because I have definitely struggled to keep up with that. Yep. With the whole dying situation.
Yes, and look, we knew this day had to come, and it's coming at a perfect time.
Yep.
Early in our podcast career, as I flick my hair.
So all the normal stuff, you can follow us on Instagram at We Will Talk About It Pod. You can follow us on Twitter at We Will Talk About It. You can email us at wewilltalkaboutit@gmail.com. Oh, sorry, wewilltalkaboutpod@gmail.com. All the show notes, which I'll eventually update probably in this break, will be at wewilltalkaboutit.com. Apologies for that. And in the meantime, stay safe and we love you.
Yeah. Stay safe. Yeah, definitely stay safe.
Stay safe, guys.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.